What's up, everyone? So in this one, we're going to be learning how to merge all of these together. Since Photoshop has changed a lot over the last couple of years, things have kind of gotten a little bit easier slash a little bit harder in some areas, but we'll make it work. So the first one that we're going to be using, our first tool for this assignment, is going to be our lasso tool, which is selected right here. It's going to be the third one. You might have it hidden. It might look like that, or it might look like this, or it might look like that or like that. But we're going to be using the lasso tool. And all you want to do here is just select a general area, something like this. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like, you don't have to be doing this, because then that would probably not work. You just want to do a general selection just like so. And then have it like that. Then this little window will pop up. If you do not see that window, you can go up into Windows, contextual text box. That takes it off or turns it back on. And if you don't have this option right here, then you're probably using an old version of Photoshop and you might want to update. General fill, and just click generate. Let it do its thing, and it will remove the little snail for you guys. And it does give you options of which ones you think look better. I'm gonna go with this one. This one looks pretty good. So then from there, we want to just right click, and then we're going to merge the layer over here, merge down, and convert it back to a single image, right? Next, we're going to do the same thing right here for the car. We're just going to grab it like that. We're going to click generated fill, click generate, and let it do its thing. And then from there, it also gives you options. So I'm gonna go with this third one right here, and then just right click and merge down. Now for me, this third one kind of left me a little bit of red right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and head over into my spot healing brush, remove tool, patch tool, and I'm gonna use my patch tool right here. Just gonna select that green, drag it over into another green area, and then Control D to deselect, and that kind of fixes everything for me. I now have a background that I can use. Now we're gonna head over into our mousse, which is kind of the one that has been giving most of us the most issues, right? Because if we click remove background, which should do a pretty good job, it doesn't, right? So remove background doesn't always work. If we click select subject, then we end up with the same thing where it doesn't really work. But if we head over to this one right here, where we have our selection tools, we have object selection, quick selection, and magic wand. We can select object selection, and as you can see, this one does a pretty good job at selecting the mousse. And then after he's selected, we can head over into our mask button right here and create a mask, and it does a pretty good job at selecting this mousse. However, it is not perfect, and we'll select our brush tool right here, right click on the brush, and make sure that our brush is set to around 90%. Make the brush a little bit smaller. You could also use the bracket keys to make it smaller or bigger on your keyboard. We're going to select this black and white mask that we have right here, and again, white shows everything and black erases everything. So we're going to head to our black color. We're going to zoom in here, and we're just going to make this a little bit smaller, and then just quickly erase around this area, because we do not want these little green parts to show. Go in here and then erase around these areas right here. A little bit right there and a little bit right there. We're going to erase over this area right here. And then go, and I believe there was another part right here where, yep, this one right here. And then just kind of erase. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. There we go. And erase a little bit there. And erase a little bit right there. And I think for the most part, that did a pretty good job. Everything else seems pretty good. So object selection is one that you can use. It is located right here. Object selection also works. And we now have our mousse that we can bring over here. The mousse will have to go a little bit smaller. So we'll Control T make that guy a little bit smaller. On mine, you have to hold shift. Some of them you don't have to anymore, but mine you have to hold shift to keep it proportional. If I don't hold shift, then I can do this. Make sure you don't do that. So shift keeps it proportional. And on some of yours, you might not even have to hold shift at all. So just click OK, and there is my moose. Now what I want to do is duplicate him. So I can either right click and put duplicate right here and press OK, or I can press Ctrl J on my keyboard, which makes a copy. I will then go to blending options and do a color overlay. That's going to allow me to change that to black. Press OK, and then I will go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and make that a little bit blurry just like so. Press OK, Ctrl T, and we're going to replicate this downwards and put him like this, like that. Bring him down here, just like so. Rotate him a little bit if needed. Press OK, and then just kind of lower the opacity a little bit. Leave it there. We can also go to Edit, Transform, and Distort if need be, and we can kind of move this as needed to kind of create this kind of shadowy pattern right here. Press OK, and make sure that the shadow is underneath the little moose, and just kind of leave it like that. There we go. Now you can kind of see the shadow before and after. There it is. Next up, we have our book. I believe this one will let's try this one, the quick selection. Yep, that does a pretty good job. We'll select it like that, and then just click our mask. That does a pretty good job of selecting the book. We'll bring the book over here, and we will also make the book smaller because it is really big. So Control T allows me to resize, and I'm just gonna resize him. Oops, hold on. So let me zoom out, Control T, and then just hold shift on mine. Mine requires shift. I don't think yours requires shift, but there you go. And I'll make the book, give or take, something like that, and press OK. There is my book. Now the book is also going to need some shadow, but we'll do that later. And then last we have me. Does remove background work? Let's see. This is a pretty complex background. Yeah, it works really good actually. So we'll bring this one here and put it in here. Also, this is really big, so Control T and make this smaller. Again, don't forget, hold shift or don't hold shift depending on what you need to do. All right, so for me, what I want to do with this particular image is I want to put myself here, but I want to hide the rest to kind of make it look like I am inside the book. So again, one thing to keep an eye out is that I want this to kind of look like that. Make myself just a little bit smaller, just like so, and put myself right there. Now, as I make this in the opacity, I'm going to lower it down and put the transparency just like so. I can now go in here with my black brush, and I can start coloring in the areas that I don't want, right? If this is too hidden, then I can do it like that. Oops, I went a little bit too much there. Control Z. I'll zoom in to this a little bit, just like so. Hide my legs down there, because again, my legs should be inside the book. There it goes. So now it kind of looks like I'm inside the book. We will now create an empty layer. The empty layer will go underneath the book. We will right click, make the softness or the hardness at 0 so that the edges are soft, just like that. If the edges are hard, then it does this, and we want soft edges. And we're just going to go in here and kind of give this a little shadow, just like so. Make it down so that it's not super bright. Actually, let's go back because I feel like that's not soft enough. We'll make this a little bit bigger. There we go. There we go. And then with an eraser, make this soft. Hardness over here. We're going to erase this. Can I do that? Make this soft again. Just like so. And so now we also need to add our flare. In order to add our flare, we're going to create a new document. We're going to grab our paint bucket tool and we're going to make sure that it's set to black. And we're going to add a black layer. Now, the reason why we're adding a black layer is because using our blend modes, when you're using black screen, will hide everything that's black. And so if we add something that is made out of just black stuff, we can kind of hide it. So we're going to go into filter. We're going to go into um, what is it? I forgot. Render, I believe. Render, and yeah, and then lens flares. And then from here, we have different options of lens flares that we can use. We're going to use the 105 prime. We're going to put it somewhere in the corner as that's where it's going to kind of land. And then press OK. That renders out the lens flare. And then you can go to screen and you're left with that. However, currently, we have a lot of orange colors going on and not everything kind of blends together evenly, right? So we're going to go down here. We're going to add a gradient map. For the gradient map in here, we're going to go into our neutral colors. Maybe not neutrals, but let's go into the grays. Let's try some of these blues. We'll try something like this. And then on our blend mode, we're going to play with it until we get something decent, like soft light. However, that looks a little bit too bright right there. So we're going to lower down the opacity. Something like that. And so now we're left with something that kind of blends all the colors in together. And it looks like one full image. And that's your final product. Remember to go ahead and click File, save a copy, and then save to as a JPEG, and then save to your documents. That's all. Thank you guys. And as always, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.